We are starting to get our first glimpses of the lake. We're gonna come out right at it at one of the campsites, and then it's also the start of the hand-propelled only section of the arm. I think I said yesterday how on the Beckler trip we were counting piles of bear scat and wolf scat, and there was a couple. On this, we've already passed. We've been on the trail for 15 minutes. We passed 5 piles of bear crap. They're old, but just a totally different place. But as we get closer, I'll give you some proper lake shots there. I don't know. I think they're quail. They have a little bump on top of their heads. I did not stop at 5E2 because that's where Steph and I camped when we boated. And if you want to see what that campsite looks like, it is on the other video. This is 5E3, which for some reason we boated past when we came through. But big, beautiful campfire overlooking the water, double bear poles, and tons of camping. This would be an excellent boater camp. Way nicer than 5E2, having stayed there. Got all this bare ground to throw down on tents, plus there is a nice, cool, cold creek running through camp. And tons of bare ground on the other side to camp on if you didn't want to just throw down on the beach. Okay, cool site. We just passed 5E4, which again is one that I have gone through on my canoe trip, so I didn't walk down to it here, but we're in that weird kind of section of forest fiery stuff. The lake is right there. It's been a couple years ago is all, because the trees that are regrowing are just a foot tall, 2 foot tall. So this has been a more recent fire. She's a little bouncy. Okay, Josh, it's all yours, my man.
Don't fall, but if you do a backflip. I'll do it. Oh my goodness, that was bouncy.
Piece o' cakeo. All right, we're approaching campsite 5. Oh, and there's somebody there. There's a boat pulled up. 5E6, and I was really kind of hoping to do a tour of it, but there is a canoe pulled in there, and I see people at the campfire ring. But that is Frank's Island. There. And then we're on the southeast arm. Around that mountain there would be the south arm. So kind of a really awesome view of the lake. Alright, so I just cruised into campsite. It's the 5E6, which is the grandest of all campsites on the lake as far as big walled fire pit. People have stacked rocks up and made like not an oven out of it, but it's big. So you can have a fire with a little offshore breeze. There was 2 guys in there that were canoeing. They spent last night down in the bottom of the southeast arm, and they're headed out Sedge Bay tomorrow. I didn't want to be rude and film their camp, but again, I did film it last time on the canoe trip, if you want to check that video out. But they, down in the bottom of the arm last night, they said there were 6 or 7 wolves on one side of the river, and then there was a couple on the other. And they actually watched them for like an hour, howling. You could hear them howling and watching them. They saw a grizzly bear on the way in. They're having way more luck with animals than we are. But awesome. Nice people to meet, and awesome campsite.
Is that really fresh or no?
It's got flies on it. It's a little fresh, even though it rained yesterday, but that, you know, you kind of think we're out of grizzly country when you get in the trees, but that is not black bear poop. I don't think it's super fresh. It just has rained recently and kind of rehydrated stuff. But here's a good shot of the lake. Let me get up here. We came from clear down in the bottom of that arm. All this white. Up here is Brimstone Basin. This is promontory something, which separates the southeast arm on this side and the south arm on this side. Again, Frank's Island out there. And then out of view would be like the Lake Lodge. This big country out here. Thing I do love about this area is the terrain just changes all the time. This is really rocky. It's a different kind of pine tree. Drier. I keep going through these big open meadows. You know, we've been really lush in the river bottom. High mountain meadows. Big open lakes. You kind of get to see lots of different terrain doing this. All right, we have finally come to the junction. We are 5E8 is us, E7, and E9. So lucky us, 300 yards. I will tour you when we get there. Okay, so here we are trying to set our tents up, and it's so windy. You see the waves crashing on the beach. We've got them staked out and rocks piled on top of them, and we're just not going to lift them until the wind dies down. So hopefully that happens tonight. Otherwise, we're going to have to relocate up in the trees because we just can't do anything. But I've got my bag and air mattress and everything set in there. All we got to do is stand the poles up. Dan and Tina are about the same. I think Josh actually got his to stand up. I don't see Dustin's, but I don't know, his might be up further. Okay, it's almost 8 o'clock. We thought that it would mellow out a little bit and the wind had quit blowing so much as it got darker, but man, look at the sunset, and it's got another 2 hours before the sun goes down. We did finally just find some big old gigantic rocks. And stake our tents out. I mean, piles of rocks, big rocks. Anyway, it's working. But we haven't even lit a fire yet tonight. It's kind of windy, and we are just enjoying the show that nature's putting on for us. One thing, that's our water source to go out there and fill your knock bags. You're about to take a shower doing it. You have to count the waves as they come in and hit them between the sets, the low sets, and not the big sets. Kind of a thing, but we're having a good time here.
Oh, money shot.
All right, so we are all packed up, fire's out, ready to go. We were just doing yoga. I call it yoga. So we're just stretching on the beach, and the kayakers going by. We've had a couple motorboats go by. Further out, you can hear them. It's a little clearer today, a little bit, but not much. But the wind died down, and this is what the lake actually looks like when it's not trying to drown everybody. We're gonna walk out. We're gonna go to 5E9, and then we'll go somewhat to 5E7. But I showed all those in my video last year. Again, if you wanna, or 2 years ago. Anyway, I'm gonna load up and we're gonna get out. Going home today. Pretty sweet start of a hike out here anyway. Yesterday I walked down here. This is kind of, I guess, neat as well. This is the creek. It's actually fed by the lake here for the campsite 5E7. It's big though, like it's proper water, but it does not, it just soaks through the rocks. It does not actually connect. And it's a little brown, and you can see the pollen being pushed up against the edge. Not super stellar water, but up at the other end, it's actually running. And I looked at this and I thought, oh crap, when we leave, we're gonna have to wade through water and get up here, and it doesn't. It just ends and kind of soaks through the rocks. Okay, coming out of the 5E9 spur trail. This is 5E7, the meadow that it overlooks. Looks like we had a better view of the lake than here. I just love to come out here once and just see a herd of elk or a herd of bison, buffaloes chilling in the meadow. But no dice. So Steph and I walked this section. I walked a little more of it. I was looking for a buffalo that was supposed to be at our camp a couple years ago, and just never found it. But we're about to enter some places I've never been before. We are going to go past another ranger cabin that we stopped at. It's right off the lake. I don't know if there's a trail to it or not, though. That maybe we'll go to and maybe we won't. I don't know. So we did find, there's a ranger station down creek from this. And I found this to cross. Those guys just walked across it. I don't know what they got doing it though. Only catch now is finding our way back to the trail because it's pretty dense through here. But I think we can do it. So this is what the majority of the hike out has been. Burned out trees and open sunshine and heat. But it's our last day and we're, I don't know, a mile and a half from camp now, or from home, from the car, and making really good time, as you do. So this is Cub Creek. It's not deep except for the very last step, and you have to kind of crawl up on a great big log to get there. That's the only, going the other way wouldn't be near as bad. But we're all making it. Yeah, all the stretches we did so we could do that yoga on the log. I just passed some people. They said there's a bunch of bear rangers at the trailhead and a big old mob of people, but they hadn't found the bear, so they just said keep our eyes out for this last little stretch, which would be the icing on the cake. Well, we can see the trailhead and see cars going by. Which means we're about done. Haven't seen any bear tracks on the trail. Lots of elk tracks still, but that's it. But I appreciate you all coming along on this trip. It was fantastic. I'm not going to say my curses back. We saw a moose at least, which are getting rarer in the park. I just think it matters where you go. If you go up north in the park, you'll see way more animals. If you go down south, you see other stuff. It was a great trip. Anybody that is considering this, it was a great route. Our campsites were good. They were all good. I don't think there was any that were bad. There are other ones that are maybe a little nicer around us, but they're like, instead of a 10-mile day, you're doing a 14-mile day to get to them. So anyway, I appreciate everybody that watched. If you'd give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and maybe there'll be a bear after this, maybe not.